Hello after the break. Now we are at the panel discussion about bioeconomy, because bioeconomy is a very important sector in circular economy transformation. And as Innovo, we are a part of European Circular Economy Stakeholder Platform, and we also leading there a leadership group regarding bioeconomy, food waste and food system. And that's why I invite my two colleagues from this bioeconomy group from European level. And it is Johannes Kisser, who is connected and work for Alchemia Nova, an organization which he'll tell a little bit more about later. And he is a chemist, yes? Chemist engineering with specialization in food and plants. We are also here with Anne Ryszkov. She's online with us. Hello, Anne. Nice to meet you and nice to see you again. So Anne Christine Ryskov, she's from VTT. It's a technical research center of Finland, very famous research institute, and bioeconomy is also one of the main fields of interest. But to give it a little bit Polish perspective, we also invite Polish representative, Monika Ślusarska-Czuber from the State Forest, and Monika also was connected with the climate change mitigation for many years. You also work for Ministry of Climate and Environment, and now you are connected with the State Forest. And as Anna will tell us a little bit about some pan-European project regarding forestry and forest, we would like to also hear your perspective. And maybe it is a good occasion to mention, because if you see these beautiful plants around on the stage, it is a gift from Dutch Embassy, which they used before for some event, and as they wanted to then be circular, she also offer us these plants to use it here during our event. So it makes really nice atmosphere here. So thank you for that gift. So let's start with Johannes and your presentation about bioeconomy, about the vision of circular economy future.
Thank you, Agnieszka. These plants are actually also the plants that we use a lot. They have all these properties of air treatment and water treatment, and that's the beauty of these plants. We can use them for manifold things. Now, starting the presentation, is there a way to...
Do you have the change the presentation slides? I know the clicker.
Thank you. The idea is, in general, that there is... thank you so much. That we are still stuck in a situation linear systems are dominantly paid by the public. You know, externalization of costs. I think this will not change as long as we follow the goal of more. The whole idea is creating more stuff, using more stuff, and the whole business models are based on this paradigm. We believe that nature offers a good range of solutions how to do it better. And if we can get inspired by how nature does it, I think we can also create our systems in a much more sustainable way. Waste equals food is one of the basic principles that nature works with. They are nutrients only and nutrient cycles forever. So why not take the inspiration of a single tree? They provide these ecosystem services, they provide materials, they provide shelter and clean water and air by just being what they do. If we now extrapolate this idea and see that we take how a tree functions and take it and design our systems or our products in nutrient cycles, working with positive lists and only ingredients that are useful for something else. That's doable and that's being done already, but far too less, obviously. We can design whole buildings that fulfill the function of a tree, giving all these additional services. Then a whole city becomes an ecosystem. And even if you think it further, you can interact with the regions and have an exchange of resources in the whole region and show flows from nutrients to energy to even knowledge sharing in the region, copying, replicating, transferring, just by being inspired how nature solves its issues. We all know about the world of biological and technical cycles. Today, as we talk about bioeconomy, I will only focus on the biological cycle. We use in this world, we use the powers of plants. We use these plants for the materials. We use these plants for treating air or water, or we even use it for taking up stuff that we maybe don't want in the soil or in the substrate, like metals, for example. Now, thinking in these systems, we can use a building and really regenerate water, nutrients, and even convert the carbon that is stored in these organic flows into energy. We demonstrate this in Austria and in Spain in some front-runner buildings. It's working. It is, of course, a bit of an effort with the permissions and the like, as always, but it's working and it's beautiful. And we turn a problem into solution, create business cases, save money, make money. It's a win-win-win situation. These are some of the systems, how they look like when we install them in buildings for air treatment or water treatment, from facade panels, indoor greening solutions that have multiple functions. And that's one of our newest projects. We will have the big opening, if you happen to join us, on the 19th of October next week in the Oceanarium in Vienna. There will the first public urinal will be located that is super self-sufficient and works with greening. While greening the city, we also treat the wastewater from these toilets. Now, thinking in these greening issues, how we can solve many more problems. Whole cities can become networks of these different conversion factories of plants. We can close food value cycles. Currently still based, on Moroccan mines that run the nutrients through the system and then they end up somewhere in landfills until we landfill mine them in a couple of years when we understand that it's not working like that. But we can already start doing it differently. You can use these, of course, for food, but also for the bioeconomy. Either convert them directly and or send the nutrients back to the outer skirts of a city. We've calculated that the waste from only 70,000 inhabitants of Vienna, almost 2 million person city, 70,000 people are sufficient for the nutrients for actually providing food for the whole city. So copying these, we can generate these hubs, circular hubs, across the city for different options and train the public and also directly convert these. And there are like many multiple functions to these hubs, to the circular hubs. In the new ideal world, we use the nutrients where we find the most, which is usually in settlements, convert them decentrally and generate value, for example, through extraction, have somehow a volume reduction, and then send the rest of the material to a more central setup for being available for the bioeconomy. The bio-based industry is very much in need of feedstocks, reliable feedstocks. Of course, everybody wants forest, everybody wants wood. Wood is a material that is very well known, but there are many, many more residues that we need to tap into for these biorefineries to work. These biorefineries then can also be connected to each other and to other industries in a so-called industrial symbiosis networks. the circular economy guys from you will know these concepts. They are very often still in conceptual stage. There are some prototypes, especially in the Nordic regions. I think our colleagues from VTT know well about these, but it's still far too little. So in the future, when we want 100% circularity, this is, of course, a must. So we believe following these three strategic pathways, we can accomplish the vision of 100% circularity. It's circular, it's nature-based or nature-inspired, which is also something that we love to work with, and participatory. So co-creation is key, involving social entrepreneurs from stage 0, and people need to do it. People need to transform it. It's not the industries alone. It's not the governments alone. It's the people in the end that will need to be to transform our society. In this sense, we believe only better will make a change. So it's not the quantity, but it's the quality of processing and producing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Johannes, for this interesting presentation. I'm really curious about this urine truck, yes, in Vienna. It's like, you have to tell me a little bit more about it. I will.
Come and join us.
So, Anne.
There will be beer next week, free.
I will. So, Anne, it's time for your presentation, yes? You run multinational project about the wood, so tell us a little bit more about.
Okay, thank you, Agnieszka, and it's a great pleasure for me to be here in this panel. Unfortunately, due to this situation, there's still quite a few flights from Helsinki, so I couldn't be present on spot, but happily we have practiced these remote ways to be connected, so I think that we manage well. But yes, my title will be that I'm going to not talking about the forest itself, but forest products in the industries and how they are actually doing quite a lot already in fostering the circular transformation in Europe. And now I try to click, waiting for connection to clicker. Somebody could give me.
I can click for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, very good. If I can just say that you can.
Magic.
Yes. So we all know that how our Commission and this Sustainable Growth Strategy for Europe, Green Deal, actually addresses circularity and also the sustainable growth. And if we think about the woodworking and forest products sector in general, actually they have been very active always in terms of circularity, resource efficiency, and also they are providing this sustainable growth to the regions and nations and the whole European Union. And if we think about the current framework of different directives, strategies, and initiatives, what we have there, this forest product sector and industries, they fit very well to the Green Deal. There's a big initiatives on building with wood and sustainable construction, Fit for 55, the new Circular Economy Action Plan. There are new initiatives called a new Bauhaus Initiative, Forest Strategy, Biodiversity Strategy, and of course they are very in these United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The decarbonization of the economy requires a major shift towards circularity, that we know, and we need a lot of carbon neutral processes, we need products, material use, business models, and also decision making. That's important because without all of these things, the circularity transformation doesn't happen. And forest product sector are pretty much in that. Yes, now you can see an example from the pulp industry, and they have actually transformed their activities from the traditional pulp making, paper making to a circular bio-based plants, because they are using very smartly the side streams. They are recovering, for example, water, the different chemicals, what they are using. Also added value components which are coming from the pulp process. And actually, we cannot anymore talk about the pulp industry. We are talking about the bioeconomy industry. And as it was referred in the previous speech, that we do have this kind of ecosystems already existing here in Scandinavia, but of course in other parts of Europe as well, which are co-creating things together in order to accelerate this circular bioeconomy. And still, it can be economically viable as well. Well, then we even thought that we are talking about forest and woods. It's a renewable material, but it's not infinite. So we have to think that how we can use our valuable, precious material as wisely as we can. And we are talking a lot about this cascading use of materials, cascading use of wood, and long-term, long-life products. And one of the big opportunity and also, let's say, big possibility for the forest products industry is building with wood. We all know that the construction sector, it's a huge sector by volume. It has a big meaning economically to the regions and to the nations. But on the other hand, it's a big user of materials and energy, and it's a big producer of different greenhouse emissions. So there's disadvantages and advantages. Please can I have the one back? And the building with wood has also a strong interest now globally, not only in Europe, but globally. And there's a lots of innovations happened in the area. We are talking about the high-rise buildings, which are made from wood. And that's a very big opportunity. But if we think about what really happens there in the construction sites, the wood, what is used, it's a supporting material mostly for casting and molding. And there's a lots of wood waste produced annually in the construction sites, around 70 million tons. And that is something what we really should look, because there's a very valuable material which could be recycled better, it could be even reused better, and it should be recycled and reused better. Can I have the next one? And for that, we need innovations. So the conventional approaches will not do anymore, so it's not sufficient, but we need sustainable ways to recycle, reuse, and recover our wood material. And of course, we have a new framework program. There's a lot of possibilities for that as well. Can I have the next one, please? And now I would like to go to the case Wood Circus. Wood Circus is a EU-funded Horizon 2020 CSA project. Can I go for the next one, please? And the meaning of the Wood Circus project was really to look at what happens there in the woodworking industries in Europe in terms of circularity. We made a very thorough collection and assessment of different company case studies, that how the companies are actually already applying circular principles, how they are applying business models to reuse and recover wood and make added value business and added value products out of it. And we did very thorough fact-finding all over the Europe. We also carried out an open call for innovative SMEs. It was mainly targeted to SMEs, but also there was big companies who take part to this call in order to get these good practice examples. We made sustainability assessment and also performance evaluation. Can I have the next one, please? And we get quite a range and deal of different good practices all over Europe. We divided Europe into four macro regions: Nordic, Baltic, Central Eastern, Central Western, and Southern Mediterranean. And all of these regions have their specificities, their strengths, their opportunities, but they are not similar. So when we think about the let's say incentives and acts from the decision makers, we have to say that one size doesn't fit to all regions. So we have to respect the special characteristics of the regions because they are different. They have different let's say resources in terms of forest and different portfolio of the forest-based businesses. But we find that all of these regions, they have very good examples in circular operational concepts, like how they are building up the advanced value chains, circular value chains, how they are creating together, and what kind of ecosystem type of activities there are in between the companies. There are good examples on process efficiency. There are good examples of reuse and recycling, recovery of wood and giving new life to the wood, and also very good examples on how this waste and side stream valorization can take place. Can I have the next slide, please? This is one example actually from Slovenia, and no, actually it's from Belgium. It's a micro value chain which is composed of designers and woodworkers, and they collect and dismantle old furniture, old piece of wood, and they give the new life to this material in very, very high quality and high designed type of furniture and elements which can be used inside of the house. It's a very nice example. The other example is that how you can make constructions with wood to have different shapes and different looks without using any chemicals or glues, and this is technology from Finland. And also this can be these houses can be composed by sort of models and demodel then the house again. It's a very nice example. Then we have a next example of recovered wood and recovered window frames and wood material from old houses, and this company from Slovenia is actually using that material and provides very fancy and very elegant type of new window frames to the new houses. And the next one, oh, that was the last one. Okay, so you can see that there's already a lot of activities in the field. These all are companies who do businesses, the real businesses with their very fine and nice ways to give added value and long lives to the wood material. And if you like to know something more about this project, please visit our webpage, which is www.woodcircus.eu, and you can always contact me in order to have more information. But thank you very much. I think that I have exceeded my time also.
Thank you very much, Anne. So now let's go to state forestry. You are all about timber, wood management, forest management. So what do you do to close the loop and to be more circular in that sector?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this panel. In answer to your question, permanent and sustainable management has been carried out in the state forests for many decades. By carrying out forest management as close to nature as possible, conscious and planned activities are carrying out into one hand, maintain a high rate of absorption of CO2 from the atmosphere, and the other hand to ensure its greatest possible storage in the forest. Forests are considered natural and effect absorbers of the carbon dioxide, and it was emphasized within the Paris Agreement under UNFCCC as signed in 2015 by 195 member states. One of the targets of the agreement is to improve the efficiency of CO2 fixation by forests. And many countries has adapted their forest management policies to achieve this goal. In state forests, we implemented forest carbon farm project to achieve this goal, which according to state forests is expected to absorb an additional 1 million tons of carbon dioxide over the next 30 years. Our research is supported by Canadian carbon budget model, which has been developed by the Canadian Forest Service. It's considered to be, the model is considered to be the most widely used in the world. This model is used to calculate both the current carbon stock as well as the forecast, the future carbon stock, depending on planned economic activities. We also modified the model by adjusting for Polish tree species, soil and forest management model, silviculture treatment, and additional activities in forestry specific to our condition and concerns. The state forest increases the amount of biomass on and below the surface of forests through addition of trees to existing forests, we call it as underplanting, increasing forest density utilizing the Sobański method, and the introduction of rapid growth species such as Douglas fir. We also reduce carbon oxidation soil emissions through the minimization and mitigation of soil damages that may occur while preparing the soil for planting, the promotion of natural renewals, as well as active protection of wetlands and the restoration of drained peatlands. In regard to our project, the main tasks are increasing the amount of biomass and active protection of soil and wetlands. The introduction of underplanting deciduous species is already in already existing pine stand will result in a significant increase of absorbed of CO2. In addition, deciduous tree species are more resistant to climate change than coniferous ones. By increasing fast growth tree species such as Douglas fir, fast growth of biomass is being ensured, and as a result, more CO2 is absorbed. It is estimated that during the 30 years of the project, 12,000 hectares of the forest will absorb up to 1 million additional carbon dioxide. And this additional CO2 reduction can be expressed in the form referred to as a carbon dioxide unit, with each unit represents to 1 ton of sequestered CO2 accumulated as a result of additional activities within the project. And at the end, the sale of carbon dioxide unit represents the project added value. In the addition enables the partners taking part into the project to display corporate social responsibility in field of pro-ecological activities.
Thank you very much. So, Johannes, could you tell me, first of all, what is for you bioeconomy? Because usually it's connected strictly with the food waste, and is it only this? And what is the biggest barrier to really like develop bioeconomy principles in today's economy?
When we talk about bioeconomy, we love already the nowadays, as it's called, circular bioeconomy. We used to coin the word biocascading, which is a cascading valorization, but not a cascading as we understood it, make it from a door, downcycle it into pieces of wood that you glue together and downcycle it again at some point to incinerate it, but it is really using the plant in its totality. And then there is space for all the combination. So this bioeconomy means you use the plant fully, you extract the valuable materials. You know, nature has done 3.8 billion years of evolution to be able to protect itself against so many other species, and has developed so many compounds inside the plant that in usual bioeconomy scenario, either if you eat it, you can use it, all these, the colors and stuff, which are very healthy, health benefits. But also for the bioeconomy itself, they can be useful. So secondary compounds, as they are called. Extract them first, then you can use the rough layer of the fine chemicals in its totality, the sugars, the proteins, and so on. Convert them for the bio-based industry, which is in deep need, as said, and then you can still use parts for fibers and the rough material for composite materials, for example, and whatever is left, you can still use for energy. Usually people use very high value products, or very often as is the case, very high value products like wood for very low value applications like energy. So we need to think it quite differently, and then be able to combine food use with all the other uses as well, and all residues valorization. And then even maybe feed might also have somewhere with one of the residue streams have is an option to go this pathway. So all benefit from this system, I suppose.
Thank you. And would you like to add something to this? What is for you bioeconomy? Can you hear me?
Did you ask me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So can you add something to that? You know,
Yes,
what is for you bioeconomy?
Yes, I think it was very, very nicely said with Johannes, but in a way, I would like to emphasize also that there's this bio, there's circular, and there's economy. So we also have to think that the economy part optimal use of the material, whether it's plant-based or wood-based or whatever renewable material it's, I think that that's a must. We have to use it as smartly and as optimal as possible to take all the parts into a proper use. Also, I think that it's quite important to prolong the life of this material, and it can have several life cycles. It can start to be something and then go to something else, and then in the end of the day we can burn it, but that shouldn't be the first possibility. In bio and circular economy, I also would like to emphasize on the sustainability, and sustainability is a very, very let's say there's very many angles in it which has to be taken into account. Economically sustainability, social sustainability, environmental sustainability, and also cultural sustainability. We have to respect all of those when we do our decisions, and how we, well, let's say, try to pave the way to this transition.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Monico, I know that you have this project, Polish Wooden Houses project, yes? So first of all, could you tell us a little bit more about it? And also my second question will be to you, and then I also follow it to other speakers, about cooperation. You know, how you build, and do you build any kind of cooperation partnership, or you just doing on your own, in your own kingdom as a state forest?
Before I start talking about Polish Wooden Houses project, I would like to emphasize that we do treat forests, which encompasses the biomass of the trees and other vegetation, and additionally the soil, as a long-term carbon rotation storehouse. We also know that trees do not release carbon when they felled, and that this carbon may remain sequestered in the form of wood products for unidentified period of time. Approximately half of the mass of the wood is represented by carbon, and it depends on the species. Broadleaf species generally have a slightly higher carbon content in comparison to coniferous trees. We do encourage keeping wood products alive for as long as possible through activities such as Polish Wooden Houses project. This project was prepared by State Forests and has been implemented since 2016. And the project was in line with the implementation of National Strategy for Responsible Development and was well received by public. In 2019, the project was took over by the Ministry of Climate and Environment. However, the State Forest still applying the guidelines for 2016, which introduce the expanded use of wood and wood-based material in construction of forest offices, forester houses, and to use wood as much as possible in modernization of buildings. I would like to emphasize that the example of the promotion of wooden technology is the award Modernization of the Year in 2020 and 2021, awarded to two of our forest districts, which means that State Forests treat wooden technology very transparently.
Thank you very much. So now the question about cooperation. Do you look for the partners to cooperate with as a state forest? And also, I know that you two cooperate, maybe not personally, but at least I found that VTT and Chemia have some connection at some project. And where to find the right partners and how to establish this collaboration? And also, like when we're talking about bioeconomy, we see these hubs, yes, which is necessary really to kind of convert different materials and then distribute it. So how to build such effective and efficient hub?
Yeah, cooperation is key. That's for sure. So I see it so often. Everybody cooks her own soups, and that's even in circular economy. We cannot avoid it. It's just the way I guess humans are. I think we need to find new ways of collaboration if we really want to make a transformative step.
What do you mean new ways?
It is, people need to open their technologies, but also their hearts to let in other people that might traditionally be competitors. I'm still not sure how this works because I feel that, you know, wanting a piece of the cake, if there is a limited budget and you need to work in budgets, unfortunately, to pay the people, your staff, it is, of course, it is critical. But at least, you know, in the stakeholders, in the different processes, there need to be information flows. I see so many research projects, they reinvent it like the fifth time these, you know, things are being done. All these conferences, the traditional ones, these the more academic conferences, I don't go there anymore. I mean, I've been to, I think, 200 or so, and I hear the same things over and over. They do the same trials, they write the same publications. You know, there is not, it's just public money not well spent. That's where that's why I also like Frick's idea of these hotspots to combine a bit the knowledge. And that's where also these hubs come in. These circular hubs, they should not only be there for resource conversion, which is obviously where resources are doing, but there should also be knowledge sharing hubs, so that people don't do the same mistakes that others have failed already. And only in this sense, by converting resources, learning from each other, then then we call these, and they like be inserted in the community. Then they become social transformation hubs. And there should be many of these, many in each city and in each region. And only this way we can tap into that. There's a lot of underutilized infrastructures even that we can use. And then it's again, cooperation is key. People that own these infrastructures, we can use them more efficiently by sharing these, even public spaces, open them up, giving the space to circular economy pioneers, front runners, showing them and spreading the knowledge and creating the business cases that is being uptaken. That's, I think, key. So, yeah.
And what about cooperation? We did the project last year, yes, so as well, we already established some.
Yes. Yes, I fully agree that the cooperation it's must and it's the key. We are dealing with a very huge challenges and no one is able to create the solutions alone. So I fully agree on that too, that we need to find new ways to cooperate, and not the traditional ones, but it's not cooperation anymore, it's co-creation together and to have these kind of nexuses where people can change ideas and create together the solutions, and also to build up the value chains between the academia, research institutions, companies and decision makers, because I think that that's also important, that all of these levels are together doing something which then can change the things. So in that sense, yes, I fully agree that the traditional way to do things is not enough anymore.
Thank you very much. So Monika, do you open for cooperation?
Well, as a state forest, yes, we are open for cooperation, not only in national level, but also international level. But I'm afraid I'm not in position to talk about this in details.
Okay, so as you didn't answer the question, what is now the biggest barrier for bioeconomy development, and why we should actually develop this sector? Why it's so important? Because it's growing. I think the importance of this sector is growing. So why?
I think it's really difficult to develop these sectors. I think it's still so compartmentalized that every single industry player or they sit on their resource streams to do it the traditional way to do it, and then to break this tradition, I think, is the biggest barrier. And that's again where cooperation comes in. They want to do it themselves. They probably don't have the process knowledge on then recovering residues. And suddenly, as a food producing company, you need to consider non-food applications and the markets for that. It's really difficult for them to develop these. And at the same time, they want to sit on the IP. The first thing when we talk to these bioeconomy industries is non-disclosure, is fully intellectual property. So whatever we develop for them, it's theirs, even if they don't use it. And how can we, develop the topic if this is like the
hidden it somewhere?
Yeah, it's hidden somewhere. Somebody puts it in a drawer, and yeah. So I think that's the biggest barrier at the same time. I think the technologies are there.
I think you even draw, yes, for this Austrian government, this kind of connection map, yes?
Yes, we have drawn like how to convert all residues, agricultural residues, and how it's possible to convert these into all commodities. It's a huge map, But there is a very nice software that allows us. It's called Kumo, and that allows us, if you go with the mouse over the bubbles of certain conversion steps, you can see the next process steps and where these can go.
But actually, you prove that we can convert everything in everything, more or less.
Of course we can, but then of course we have these conversion efficiencies and the conversion factors, and then if you and then you need much more land. So we have just limited land availability, and it doesn't work. Just we calculated for the Austrian government. We calculated just the bioplastics. They wanted to do like a bioplastics roadmap 2050, like the different stepwise plan how they can switch to full bio-based plastics. And we just saw that it's not possible in the way we act currently. We don't have enough space just for the plastics, not even talking about the rest, not even talking about energy. But only the plastics, there is not enough land available in Austria to grow our plastics on the fields. So there need to be, other inventions. And then, of course, this where reuse comes in. It's where, of course, you start with refuse, reduce, and all these steps. And then you have a reuse, which is still far. When you talk about circular economy, in Austrian understands, okay, it's recycling or it's incineration. I mean, if you think it in a very broad sense, of course, creating CO2 at some point will become again a resource, but it's quite a big cycle, so it's not really considered circular economy. So there's also still a lack of knowledge. Yeah, but the biggest barrier is definitely the interaction between the actors and the not wanting to share the knowledge. And the processes.
And what is for you the biggest barrier in bioeconomy development, and why bioeconomy is so important?
Well, from the practical point of view, I think that the biggest barrier for the companies is that there's a very good solutions already available and technologies are there. But if you're a very small company, you simply don't have resources or time to take them in use. If you're a big company and you have established systems with the automation and everything, and the processes are very optimized and then you have your shareholders who say that, yes, that's a very good idea, but we get our money this way as well, so why not continue as long as we can? So this is a sort of, from the practical point of view, maybe a barrier, but I think that what we actually need in all levels is that we have to change our thinking, all of us, not only the companies, not only the decision makers, but also us as citizens and people. We also have to change how we act, because that's the next step. And then we have to change that how we make decisions and on what arguments and justifications we make our decisions. So I think that we have a sort of mental barriers as well, not only the practical ones, but the mental ones.
Thank you very much. Yes, we're talking a lot about the mindset change and completely another new approach, yes, to the things, to the business model, to costs and cost calculation. And I think it's needed to really transform economy into more circular way. So as we have like less than 2 minutes, maybe just takeaway message, how you can conclude a summary our panel discussion about bioeconomy. So maybe we start from Monika. Maybe you would want to tell something as a summary from the state forest perspective.
Well, in a nutshell, in the process of photosynthesis, trees capture carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and convert into organic carbon, which is accumulated in the biomass as the wood, the bark, and the roots. By being able to fix and sequester carbon dioxide, forest ecosystem helps reduce its concentration in the atmosphere. And since the carbon dioxide is the primary greenhouse, forests support us in fighting unwelcome climate change. In order to best utilize this capacity of forests to absorb carbon dioxide and mitigate the climate change, it is important to know how capable different tree stands are in this respect, and what factors can increase or decrease this effect?
Thank you very much.
Thank
So, Anne, takeaway message, 2 sentences. And really happy to see you here with us.
Okay, my takeaway message is that, and I refer now to the sharing of knowledge and new ways to cooperate. We have to have the trust. Without trust, there's no change. So let's trust each other and make the change.
Thank you. Johannes?
I love to tap into that. I think key to all of this is our heart. Is really our heart. If we act with our brains, it's money. If we act with our heart, it's the right thing. Just do the right thing and stick to the emotional part of it, and I think it will work.
And the bioeconomy is about nature, about heart, I think, yes, a little bit. So thank you very much for this discussion, and I'm really glad that you come here and I have opportunity to discuss this very important topic. So now we will move to the last kind of part of our Congress, where we talk a little bit about the financing, about the extended producer responsibility, about investment, and how we really can make it happen, with connection to the money and to the costs, yes? So now I would like to invite Mr. François Godet, Head of Thematic Impact Finance Operation of European Investment Bank, EIB. So François will tell you a little bit about the investment possibilities regarding circular economy investment. And then, just one remark, then we'll have a coffee break, and after coffee break at 2:15, 2:15, we will meet again, but this time I pass moderation to my colleague Hubert Bukowski from Innovo, who is Director of Research and economists. That's why I think this topic will be safer in his hand. But now I would like to invite to the stage François Godet.
Rising temperature, intense rainfall, strong gusts of wind are all phenomena resulting from climate change, for which one of the main reasons is the excessive emission of carbon dioxide. The greenhouse effect is a phenomenon of global warming resulting from the retention of a certain amount of heat emitted to the atmosphere. This is caused by the increase in the content of gases, mainly carbon dioxide, freons, methane, and nitrous oxide. Forests absorb some of the carbon dioxide through the process of photosynthesis, reducing the harmful effects of this phenomenon. Numerous studies have confirmed that the increase in the average temperature of the Earth's surface is associated with an increase in carbon dioxide emissions. The Kyoto Protocol, which is an international agreement on combating global warming, came into force in the year 1997. In 2015, representatives of the United Nations signed the Paris Agreement, recognizing that the protection of greenhouse gas absorbers, such as forests, and increasing their efficiency is crucial in the fight against the greenhouse effect. During COP24 in December 2018, 82 countries signed Declaration Forests for Climate. It concerns preservation and enlarging carbon stocks in sinks and reservoirs of greenhouse gases by 2050. And points to the key role of sinks in achieving the objectives stated in the Paris Agreement. The reduction of greenhouse gases with their increased absorption can lead to a solution to this problem. Key methods to reduce greenhouse gases in the atmosphere include increasing the capacity and size of carbon absorption by forests, increasing the carbon stock stored in the ecosystem, and reducing the risk of excessive carbon dioxide emissions. 10 hectares of forest absorbs the amount of carbon dioxide equivalent to that produced by 16 trucks or one large pig farm. over 9 million hectares of Polish forests constitute as much as 30% of the entire country, and their area is still growing. It is estimated that in the year 2050, forests will occupy 33% of the country's area. Polish forests have a crucial role in carbon sequestration and storage in soil, trees and other plants. They absorb 36 million tons of CO2 a year more than they emit. As a consequence of aging of forest stands, the intensity of carbon sequestration decreases. According to estimates, in 2040, forests in Poland will absorb nearly 20 million tons of CO2 less than today. Multifunctional and sustainable forest management supports nature conservation and is essential for climate neutrality. Healthy, biodiverse and resilient forests adapted to climate change bring significant environmental benefits. They ensure continued supply of a wide range of ecosystem services which are essential for human health and well-being. The state forests have launched an initiative aimed at developing an action plan that can limit negative climate change by leveraging the potential of forests. A project aimed at increasing the reduction of carbon dioxide will be implemented for 30 years in selected forest districts, covering 12,000 hectares, which corresponds to the total area of Toruń. The Carbon Forests project is being carried out due to progressing climate change. It uses the naturally occurring photosynthesis to absorb CO2. The greatest advantage of the project is the possibility to implement it on a larger area. Planned activities under the Forest Carbon Farms project. The main goal of the project is to increase the amount of biomass and active protection of soil and wetlands. Afforestation, natural regeneration and regeneration made using the Sabansky method, together with planting, are activities that increase the amount of biomass per unit of surface area. The introduction of underplanting deciduous species in the already existing pine stands will cause a significant increase of absorbed CO2. In addition, deciduous tree species are more resistant to climate change than coniferous. The introduction of fast-growing species, such as Douglas fir, creates faster growth of forest biomass and thus more absorbed carbon dioxide. Changing development laws will allow, among other things, to avoid sudden erosion of the soil surface and change the age of preservation of tree stands. At the same time, it will increase the resistance of stands to abiotic factors, for example, fires and winds and insect damage. According to estimates, during the 30 years of the project, 12,000 hectares of forest will absorb up to 1 million tons of carbon dioxide. Additional CO2 reduction in the form of so-called carbon dioxide units, CDU. CDU corresponds to 1 ton of CO2 accumulated as a result of the additional activities within the project. Carbon dioxide units are purchased voluntarily, an added value for the PR and CSR partners of Lasy Państwowe, the state forestry. Through our partnership, we can acquire land for afforestation, protect rare and endangered species found in the forests, improve the forest tourist infrastructure. The carbon dioxide units, JDW, have been purchased by many other well-known brands. Sale of carbon dioxide units is the project's added value. The partners taking part in the project carry out the concept of business social responsibility in the field of pro-ecological activities. All information and news about the project can be found on the website of the State Forests Development Projects. Additional activities and promotion of the project have been carried out since 2017 and will last for the next 10 years. Each year, participating forest districts report on the implementation of additional activities. In 2021, study on methodological solutions for supporting additional activities will be finished, and the carbon dioxide units will be made available during the entire project lifetime. Forest carbon farms means greater absorption and lower emission of carbon dioxide, as well as benefits for local communities and nature, development of science, protection of the earth, and an alternative to expensive ways of fighting global warming. Forest carbon farms. We protect the climate for you.